right, good evening, South Mississippi. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here to give you an update on your forecast. Obviously, we did not have our early evening newscast tonight due to college football. We will have our regularly scheduled newscast coming up at 10 o'clock this evening. How long that game goes on ABC, maybe push back a little bit, but as far as I know, we will have our scheduled newscast coming up tonight at 10 o'clock on CBS. But if you're a little bit of an early bird, want to get a head start on the forecast, I've got all the details you'll need to know to get through the rest of your weekend. And starting off with today, it was nice, especially this morning, and it was nice this afternoon, although it was pretty hot outside. We did end up reaching the upper 80s and low 90s. Looks like over in Gulfport at the airport, we hit a high of 90 today, but this morning we had a low of 64. Felt really nice right around the sunrise this morning, and the humidity has also been fairly low. I'm going to go back here and show you, actually got a little ahead of myself, wanted to show you the morning lows that we are expecting tomorrow morning near the sunrise. It may not be quite as cool on the coast. Still going to be a nice morning tomorrow. Temperatures reaching the mid to upper 60s. And then as we get into the afternoon, it is going to be another hot day. For the most part, we're aiming for high temperatures tomorrow, upper 80s to low 90s. However, the humidity is not going to be too bad tomorrow. All in all, the rest of the weekend is looking really nice for any of your outdoor plans. Rain chances tomorrow, slim to none. We are expecting plenty of sunshine. But again, despite the cool start in the morning, it is going to be hot during the afternoon, but at least it's not going to be overly humid. It's not going to feel miserable outside. At least we've got that going for us. I know a lot of us are itching for more of that fall-like weather. At least we're getting a tiny little taste of it in the morning. Currently in Gulfport, we are at 79. There's a look there into Jones Park. Things are nice and quiet this evening. Dew points right now in the mid 60s. Not too bad. It feels pretty comfortable outside. We did see a cold front push through the area. That still remains to our east, and it's far enough to the east that we continue to get a wind out of the north and northwest overnight tonight. It's a little bit of a breeze, but that's helping to keep some of that drier air in place. So like I talked about, a lot of sunshine expected tomorrow. Maybe we'll see a few clouds here or there. For the most part, though, we're going to stay mostly clear overnight tonight. We'll drop down into the 60s. Tomorrow, heating up, upper 80s, low 90s. Rain is not going to be impacting any of your outdoor plans. Looks like a great day to grill out if you're going to be enjoying some NFL football. Really a great day for any activity that you have planned. But it is going to be on the warm side, no doubt about it, during the afternoon. Then on Monday, very similar, maybe just a tiny bit warmer in the morning. Lows more so upper 60s, low 70s. Even though Futurecast hints at maybe a few little isolated showers, I'm still keeping rain chances pretty slim. For the most part, we are going to be getting back into the upper 80s and low 90s going into Monday afternoon. A good bit of sunshine expected. Tuesday, that's the last day of September. We start the month of October on Wednesday. Not seeing too much of a change in our weather pattern. Good news is our dew points are not going to be too bad, mainly in the 60s, which for us along the Gulf Coast, that's much more manageable than dew points in the 70s and especially the 80s, like what we get during the middle of summer. So overall, fairly comfortable, maybe a tiny bit on the humid side here or there, but I would say for the most part, it's going to be feeling pretty nice. Not much rain expected over the next 2-3 days. Rain chances increase a little bit more by the end of this upcoming week. We'll keep you posted on the exact timing of that. Still a little fuzzy because we are still several days out, but we may be able to squeeze out a few more showers and thunderstorms by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But as for the next few days, very dry. Looks like we are going to be wrapping up the month of September with some dry weather. Speaking of that, though, it is going to be a little bit warmer than normal. Today's normal maximum or high temperature in Gulfport, right around 86. Next couple days, we're more so going to be in the upper 80s and low 90s. Thank goodness the humidity is not going to be too bad. It does seem like by the end of this upcoming week, especially if we do see a little more rain and cloud cover, it's not going to be as hot. Temperatures more so in the mid 80s, a little bit closer to normal for us during this time of the year. Now, as we get into the month of October, usually we start to see some bigger cold fronts. Things start to cool down a little bit more. We have to wait on that for the time being, but history tells us that usually during the month of October is when we start to see more of these cool downs. Plus, we're not seeing as much daylight over the 24-hour period. The sun not as high in the sky. That's also a factor for us not getting quite as hot during the middle of October. So if you want fall-like weather, it's coming at some point. History tells us it happens. It's just not going to quite be over the next few days. At least here on the Gulf Coast, we are on easy street this week regarding the tropics. Now, a lot of unknowns with Tropical Depression 9 over the past few days with where exactly it's going to go and how strong it's going to get. I know, I personally know some meteorologists along the South Carolina coast, and it's been a headache because there's been a lot of model uncertainty with where exactly Tropical Depression 9 is going to be going, but we've gotten more model consensus. In addition, Hurricane Umberto is a Category 5 hurricane. It is a monster hurricane. Thankfully, for the most part, that is going to remain out at sea. Bermuda may need to keep a close eye on that, but Umberto not going to be impacting the U.S. But I do want to talk about Tropical Depression 9 as of 7 o'clock, still a tropical depression. I'll be curious to see if at 10 o'clock, when the National Hurricane Center releases a new update, if it's going to be getting a name. For now, it is a tropical depression. Not too terribly organized, but it is expected to strengthen into a tropical storm by at least overnight tonight into Sunday, and then likely becoming a hurricane by Tuesday and Wednesday. Notice now that the forecast cone does not technically include the coast of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, but it is going to be a close call for them. Even if it does stay just offshore, they're still expected to deal with some rip currents, some wind, and also some rain. But it really depends on where exactly the system is going to be hanging around the East Coast. Again, there's been a lot of headaches with the forecast of this. It's kind of got an interesting track. It's going to be moving to the northwest a little bit through Tuesday, and then it is expected to make a sharp turn to the east by the end of this upcoming week. That's what forecast models are generally showing at this point, and I'll show you that there. What's happening is it's actually riding around a ridge of high pressure, and then at some point when it almost stalls out a little bit off of the East Coast, the steering currents are weak, but also Umberto, almost in a sense, going to help to pull this system a little bit farther to the east. But model consensus pretty good at this point that it was going to almost make an abrupt stop near the Georgia, South Carolina coast and then make that turn off towards the east. Now, even though it is not expected to make landfall in Florida, parts of the Florida coast on the east side, the Atlantic side, is actually under a tropical storm watch. Keep in mind that the wind field is not always just around the center. They still could see some tropical storm force winds over the next couple of days as the system starts to move a little bit more to the north and west. We do see tropical storm warnings though in effect for much of the Bahamas. Elsewhere in the tropics, we have Hurricane Umberto. Look at that monster on satellite this evening. Well-defined eye, winds of 160 miles per hour. It is a Category 5 hurricane. It's funny that all of the hurricanes that we've had so far this season have ended up becoming major hurricanes. Pressure is at 925. It is a monster storm, thankfully for the most part staying out to sea. I will say though, Bermuda needs to keep watch on that. Eventually by Tuesday and Wednesday it is going to be weakening a little bit. Notice it's also going to be taking that easterly turn just like Tropical Depression 9. It's going to be moving around a ridge of high pressure that eventually kind of falls apart, and eventually it will be curving off to the east as well. So Umberto, that makes it the third hurricane of this season, also the third major hurricane. Imelda, that is the next name on the list. That's likely what Tropical Depression 9 is going to be at some point this weekend. You may be hearing that name a little bit more. It's also expected to become a hurricane at this point. National Hurricane Center at this time does not call for it to become a major hurricane, but we'll wait and see on that. Some forecast models have it intensifying a little bit more, but East Coast still needs to pay attention, even if it's not going to be making landfall necessarily along Georgia, South Carolina. They still could see some impacts in terms of heavy rainfall, some strong winds, and also some rip currents. Before we get to our 7-day forecast, I do want to briefly show you your marine forecast for tomorrow if you have plans to take the boat out. Pretty nice forecast tomorrow over the water. No rain, no thunderstorms are expected. Looking at a light chop tomorrow. Offshore winds will generally stay out of the north and east. So light chop expected over the sound and offshore. Sunrise tomorrow right around 6:48. And quickly looking at our tides, low tide will be happening very early tomorrow morning. In fact, more so overnight tonight. I need to adjust that there. That should be 2:01 a.m. for Biloxi. High tide is going to be happening tomorrow afternoon, right around midday or so for Pascagoula, and a little bit later for Biloxi and Bay St. Louis. To wrap it up here with your 7-day forecast, the next 2-3 days pretty quiet, beautiful weather, warm in the afternoons, but the mornings are going to be nice and comfortable. Great mornings for sitting on your back porch, taking a walk, enjoying some time, some fresh air outside. We will be starting off the days in the 60s, but by the afternoon we're going to be heating up close to 90. Things do look a little cooler, and we also have a little bit of a better chance of seeing some showers by the end of this upcoming week. But looks like we're really not going to see any more rain to wrap up the month of September. Wednesday, that is the first day of October, off to a warm or hot, but also dry start. And if I'm not mistaken, October is typically one of our drier months in South Mississippi. We'll see how it's going to compare to September. For the most part, September has been very dry. We'll see how October shapes up, but we do have a better chance of seeing some showers, at least by Thursday and Friday. So time now is right around 9 o'clock. Again, we will be having our late evening newscast at 10 o'clock tonight. Probably going to be starting more on time on CBS, depending on the Alabama-Georgia game on ABC. Hopefully you can join us there. We will have the latest from the National Hurricane Center regarding Umberto, Tropical Depression 9. But again, those are not going to be threats to the Gulf Coast, thank goodness. However, Tropical Depression 9, that is something that the East Coast needs to pay attention to over the next several days. So with that, I hope you will join us for our 10 o'clock newscast, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend.